One of the ways we can inspire each other and drive transformative action is by exchanging ideas and learning from others. Travel Oregon and TEDxPortland worked together to select 5 people creating notable impact around our state and crafting their presentations into mini TED-style talks highlighting their ideas worth spreading. Please welcome Andrew Moore, Visitor Services Manager at Travel Portland, to share their Rose City Certified program.
Thank you. Really happy to be here. Let's just imagine for a moment that I work at a front desk at a hotel in downtown Portland. Most of our visitors are visiting the city for the first time, so they have questions about the neighborhood, want to know where to eat, what to do, and what they need to see while they're in town. And let's say I just moved to Portland recently, so I don't always have the answers that I wish I did. Sometimes I'll make a recommendation and I'll hear back, "That's funny, I was told something very different about that part of town by my Uber driver." I also know the visitor center is really close to my hotel, so I recommend that to guests a lot. But most of them just brush it off. Every once in a while, somebody will make the trip. Which brings me to my actual job. In reality, I don't work at a hotel in Portland. My name is Andrew, and I work at Travel Portland. We work really carefully to craft the Portland message and train our visitor center staff to highlight all the great things about our amazing city. But I still know, in reality, only 1 or 2% of visitors are ever going to go to the visitor center. We don't get to interact with most of Portland's visitors. And when we do, we're never their first interaction. Their first interaction is with their Uber driver or the front desk worker at their hotel, or maybe it's the barista when they're grabbing a cup of coffee, or the server at their first meal in town. Those are the people that shape Portland's first impression for our visitors. And when they go untrained, the results can be kind of a mixed bag. So recognizing this reality, at Travel Portland, we decided we needed a way to quickly and easily equip our city's frontline workers with clear, positive, real-world messaging that would give them the ability to have conversations with visitors and highlight all of the great things in our city. Out of that reality, Rose City Certified was born. A free online training program available to everybody who interacts with visitors in Portland, which is potentially everybody, and can be completed in under an hour. Every participant in the program will learn what to do and see in Portland, how to navigate the city. They'll get pointers on having difficult conversations about livability issues, and they'll learn how to welcome guests of all cultures and abilities. When they complete the program, they'll get a certificate of completion and a nice lapel pin that they can wear with pride. There's probably a few people in this room that are wearing one already. We rolled the program out in November, and we've already had over 600 people complete it, from restaurants, hotels, the convention center, the airport, and more. We've received really great feedback in the short time that the program's been live. 92% of participants say they're very likely to recommend the program. And we've also asked for specific feedback and gotten some great quotes such as this one. "My favorite part of Rose City Certified was learning about the deeper layers of Portland's culture and how we as local businesses can play a role in shaping the visitor experience. I especially love the focus on sharing our city's stories and the people, neighborhoods, and values that make Portland truly unique. It reminded me that being an ambassador for Portland isn't just about knowing where to go. It's about helping visitors feel the spirit of the city and its creativity, inclusivity, and sense of wonder. That perspective will definitely influence how I connect with guests at Sinister Coffee and Creamery." So I like to think that if all 600 people who took the program had a similar epiphany, it's really moving the needle on the visitor experience in Portland. And I know some of you are thinking that building an online training program like this sounds like a daunting task, but At Travel Portland, we've already done the work, and we love to share. So if you're thinking about doing this in your destination, just reach out. We're happy to help. Our frontline workers are our destination storytellers, and Rose City Certified equips them with the tools to tell Portland stories. Thank you.
Next, welcome Patrick Clark, Culinary Director at Siletz Valley Schools, to share more about teaching youth about first foods, connecting them to culture, the local blue economy, and jobs.
I didn't set out to become a teacher. I kind of stumbled into this job. I didn't have a roadmap, no game plan. I just had an idea. They stuck me in an old art storage room, not a program, not a kitchen, an old art storage room. But the cabinets were blue-green, that same shade as Julia Child's kitchen. Some people would call that random. I didn't. I seen potential. I seen a place to build, and I seen a community that was deserving of my efforts. Now I hand students knives, fire, motivation, and belief. My name is Patrick Clark, and I'm the Culinary Director at Siletz Valley School. I run our in-house food program, breakfast, lunch, snack, after-school events, meals, all day, all the time. If it feeds a student, it came from us from scratch. I teach a full schedule of classes. Middle school starts out by learning fundamentals, measurements, sanitation. They make cookies, ice cream, fresh pasta, and bread. But what they're really learning is timing, accountability, and discipline. High school students raise that standard. They earn food handler certifications. They cook from scratch. They butcher wild game. They fillet fresh seafood. They run a catering operation with our food trailer, Yatreyan. They cater for cultural events at the tribe's community center. I don't simulate pressure, I apply it. For some students, this isn't about culture, it's about community, about identity. I've seen students with no motivation to graduate find purpose in the kitchen and went on to graduate because someone finally demanded excellence from them and they met it. Some students start head down, no eye contact, no voice. Put them on the line, give them a role to play, let them find out, watch them thrive. No one wants to let the team down. The turning point for students is simple, it's responsibility. Let them run it, let them own it, let them fail, help them recover. Through our partnership with Chef Jack Strong and the Allison Inn and Spa, students step into Jory Restaurant during Native American Heritage Month. My students just don't tour, they contribute. They sit on planning calls. They work beside elite chefs. They get to step into that kitchen and see themselves in that space. Our partnership with Winter Waters does the exact same thing. Students prepare and serve their own dishes alongside top Portland chefs. Real guests, real pressure, and they execute. Here's what I've learned at school so far. Raise the standard, open the door, give them access to the arena. They'll rise every single time. What's next for me in my program? We expand. More partnerships, more exposure, higher standards. If you have doors to open, open them. If you can sponsor opportunity, step up. If you offer mentorship, internship, housing, structured development, link arms with me. These students do not lack talent, they lack access. When preparation meets exposure, trajectories change. I cook, I teach, I manage chaos. But I'm not just feeding students. We're putting them in rooms where they see who they're capable of becoming. And once they sit in that space, they understand something very powerful, that they can belong there too. Thank you.
Yes. Please welcome Tiana Black Eagle and Clark Schimmel, co-directors of Pandion Institute, to tell us about their workforce development and training programs that provide empowerment skills to develop Indigenous youth.
On our very first Acoma School rafting trip, our smallest and youngest participant was an 11-year-old boy. He stayed close to me, quiet and watchful. And then we hit the green room, one of the largest rapids in Acoma, or Hell's Canyon. And we were both thrown from the raft, as well as many of our other kids. Later that night, during our Rosebud and Thorn reflection, many of our kids named that rapid as their thorn, the hardest part of the day. But our youngest and smallest participant and quietest participant raised his hand and said something that I will never forget, his rose. The best part of the day was feeling the power of the river. When our young people face challenges, we share stories about Coyote and how Coyote is always going upriver. We share about buffalo turning to face a storm, weathering adversities. We share about the deep complexities of our homelands and how they mirror our internal landscapes. This work is not just about getting kids outdoors. It's about helping them understand who they are in relationship to the living world around them. My name is Tiana Black Eagle, co-founder and co-director of Pandion Institute. We're an Indigenous-led, land-based education nonprofit for stewarding our future elders. I'm Wasco, Yakima, Umatilla, Walla Walla, Cayuse, and Nez Perce. I'm German and Irish and Danish, I think somewhere in there too, but most of my family lives on Warm Springs Reservation, and I currently live on the Nez Perce Reservation with my growing family and my husband, Josiah Black Eagle, here in the back with my baby. And he is also a co-founder of Pandion Institute.
My name is Clark Schimmel. I'm also a co-founder of Pandion Institute and currently one of its directors. Like a lot of you in this room, I grew up in Western Oregon without a lot of context for or contact with Native people and Native culture. I came to this work as a river guide with the understanding that this powerful tool that I had access to in the form of these multi-day whitewater rafting expeditions could and should be shared with the people who came from those landscapes. So I worked with Tiana, Josiah, and other Native leaders to pull together that first trip 5 years ago. And we all came away from it with this understanding that we'd hit on something really special. The Pandion Institute was founded to both perpetuate and to build on that hard work.
You know, we exist to help young Indigenous people in their inherent roles as leaders and stewards of their ancestral lands. We use those landscapes and watersheds to help facilitate guided hiking, kayaking, rafting, backpacking, even hunter's education and guide training trips, not as a form of recreation, but as a classroom. And in this living classroom, the land gets to be the teacher and all of its connected life sources. The young people we refer to as our future elders, are our leaders.
A lot of organizations will talk about the idea of connecting young people to nature or like diversifying the outdoors, and those are worthy goals, but it's not exactly what we're doing. We run Indigenous-led, place-based programming. So what that looks like is while young people do learn outdoor skills, they're also learning cultural knowledge, they're learning ecological principles, they're learning stewardship practices that have been passed down for generations. It's about restoring reciprocity with the land, excuse me. Not just enjoying it, but actually stewarding it, being responsible for it. We know that we can't do that alone. So we're working with a network of both Indigenous and non-Indigenous partners who see and want to support these future elders, these future leaders. We're doing that in order to, help me out, sorry. Yeah, we know that this is the right place and the right time for this work when we see our program participants coming home back to their communities more confident in their abilities, more confident in their culture, and more confident in their identities. Some of the young people who are on that very first trip that Tiana mentioned are now graduating high school, and they're going on to work in careers as outdoor guides in whitewater rafting. They're pursuing natural resources work, and they're even coming back to our programming to work as staff educator leads. We believe that this work matters to the broader Oregon tourism community because the same powerful landscapes that draw people and visitors to the state are the landscapes that have sustained Indigenous people since time immemorial. Thriving tourism depends on thriving landscapes, and thriving landscapes depend on thriving people. The Pandion Institute is helping build the next generation of Indigenous leaders who will steward these landscapes long after any marketing campaign ends. When Indigenous young people are trained, empowered, and leading on their own landscapes, that strengthens the social and ecological fabric that Oregon tourism rests on. In this way, our mission isn't separate from tourism. It's foundational to it.
And that's why this responsibility doesn't belong only to Indigenous communities. It belongs to all of us who work, live, and connect with these places. Every time we connect with these lands, whether as guides, visitors, educators, or leaders, we're connecting with something that is more powerful and older than ourselves. Just like Coyote going upriver, or buffalo turning to face the storm, or a young boy learning from his elder, the river. How are we living in relationship with the living world around us? Katsiya, yeah.
And finally, Josh Hopkins, the superintendent of the Grants Pass Park and Rec Department, will share about the development of the Grants Pass mountain bike trail system.
Back on November 1st, I came across something that was pretty unusual for the city of Grants Pass. There were hundreds of mountain bikers gathered at a trailhead. There was this family out for a hike with a baby on their back, all dressed like bears, and there was this little girl about 6 years old in a pink tutu just shredding mountain bike trails. There was also a full-grown man dressed like Superman running around with a giant pair of scissors. Now you might be wondering why so many people would gather in Grants Pass the day after Halloween. Well, it's because at the city of Grants Pass, we believe every community can improve its economic output. How did we do it? We bought a mountain. And we think you can too. Let me back up just a little bit here. Back in 2019, the city of Grants Pass was in pretty dire straits. We're located in one of Oregon's poorest counties. We were seeing families leave, businesses shutter their doors. There really just wasn't an identified agency or industry that was going to come in and save us. Our city leadership had to ask themselves some really tough questions. Namely, what can we actually do about this? And that's when this idea emerged. What if we invested in our outdoor recreation as a tourism driver? So, our city council took a pretty big swing, and they purchased this lot of land known as Dollar Mountain right outside of Grants Pass, with the intent to develop it into a mountain bike destination location. Mountain biking represents hundreds of millions of dollars in visitor spending within our state. Cycling in general is a billion-dollar industry. So they knew that this had the potential to be a pretty lucrative tourism driver. But As it turns out, buying a mountain is totally the easy part. Turning this dream into reality was going to require a whole lot more work. The city was faced with needing to get permitting, conceptual planning to figure out what this even looks like, and identify funding for development. Additionally, while this was going on, the city suffered a setback through staff overturn. I'll be honest, I'm not the park superintendent who originated this project, and staff overturn on a project of this scale doesn't just cause delays, it can sometimes be a project killer. But the city was able to overcome all of these obstacles because during this process, we had built out a strong stakeholder network. The National Park Service came up and helped line out our conceptual planning, and they linked us in with our local Bureau of Land Management, who provided agreements and funding so that we could build the trailhead on their property. Travel Oregon came to our aid, and they provided us with contracting for a professional trail design consultant who not only identified our routes, but gave us information we needed to get our permitting done. Our local mountain bike community, through our Rogue Valley Mountain Bike Association, took all the data we had gathered from our conceptual planning process and kept it at the forefront of our city council, which kept them active and engaged while city staff worked through the next steps. When I was hired in 2022, I didn't walk into a mess. I walked into a project that had momentum, which allowed us to move forward with the grant through the Oregon Parks so that we could fund development. I truly believe it was this strong stakeholder network that brought us to that day on November 1st for our grand opening, where that young family was out for a hike at the same time that a little girl in her pink tutu was enjoying her mountain bike. And yeah, inevitably, Superman did find something to cut with those giant scissors. All of this occurred while our stakeholder network group and our city councilors were surrounded by hundreds of trail enthusiasts. The day stood as proof of concept. Investing in outdoor recreation works. Since then, we've heard reports of people coming from all over to try out this system. We've been featured in nationwide articles from the mountain biking community, all thrilled to have this new feature for them to go to. We've even been attracting other users, like this trail runner I met, who'd come up from San Francisco for the weekend just to try it out. People have been raving about this trail's flow, its accessibility, and the sense of escape they get, even though they are right next to town. Some people have even remarked they love being able to ride their mountain bikes from their hotel rooms right onto the system. It is that close. My main takeaway is this. The state of Oregon is incredibly rich in diverse outdoor recreational offerings. Every community has something they can be investing in to tap into this market. If the city of Grants Pass can build out a strong stakeholder network and be willing to take this kind of risk in one of Oregon's poorest regions, so can you. We bought a mountain. You've just got to figure out what is your mountain and be willing to take that swing. Thank you very much.
Let's stand up and cheer all four of those amazing talks.